The city.
Voting power here.
Big
To
business.
change anything that needs to be changed.
This brother, in a very short time, has been an exciting man, brother, friend, mentor. Uh, he writes books. He is, in fact, the head of the Dallas Weekly and the president of the Atlanta Voice, none other than Jim Washington. It is great to have you with us today on the 4th anniversary show. I appreciate you, man.
Hey, I didn't know you were a Germantown bear.
Germantown, Bear, indeed, Bear
You
Country in the
know, but I'm glad to be here. Congratulations on 4 years, and I look forward to another 40 from you, brother.
I appreciate it, my brother. And so, I'm standing on your shoulders, if I'm going to be, honest about that. The work that you have done, that Janice Ware, your beloved wife, has done at the Atlanta Voice, paved the way for these new opportunities for
Well,
all of us.
well, for those who are listening and may not know, Dallas Weekly is the oldest African American owned newspaper in Dallas, Texas. I am ensconced in Atlanta now, and happen to be married to the second generation owner of the most, what I would call, powerful as well as influential African American owned newspaper in the city of Atlanta. And I moved here thinking I was going to, quote, semi retire, but y'all just don't let those kind of things happen. So I am in the
Too much
middle of
talent inside. Too much talent, brother.
Oh no, so I'm in the middle of doing some things here, and with Canvas of Atlanta, which is absolutely spectacular for those who do not know. The city is all that it is cracked up to be and more, if you're looking for the right things. Let me put it that way.
There you go. There you go. So let's talk about this rich history. Many don't know the history of the Atlanta Voice and the Dallas Weekly, but they have been crucial publications for the dissemination of our story, and the information that we needed at those times. And so even now, those platforms are critical. We're in a space where misinformation is as prevalent, as the day is long. And quite frankly, our culture does not still have enough ample opportunities to tell our story properly on the main stage. Talk about your mission and vision around ensuring that there's integrity in the storyline of our culture.
Well, let me. You have to go back and do a little history. I don't know how much time we've got. So, in the absence of Janice Ware, who is the second generation owner of the Atlanta Voice, I am kind of tongue in cheek speaking for that experience. So let me talk through that first, and talk about it from the point of view that it is an experience that is rich in its heritage, rich in its influence, rich in its value. And that value would be similar to that, let's say, of the Philadelphia Tribune or the Amsterdam News or what have you. But her father, J. Lowell Ware, started this newspaper because in this civil rights, the heart of what was going on that affected our people, you can look back and all roads will lead to Atlanta. And those forefathers of that movement basically came to her father and said, hey, we don't have a voice, because the other paper who was here, which will go nameless, was basically a Republican product, if you will. It was a Republican property, and it kind of towed that line. So it was born out of that. And one day, I guess the folks who printed the newspaper did not like the fact that what was being said on the front page of this paper was to their liking, so to speak. And he wound up buying a printing press and became the first owner of a printing press in the Southeast, and wound up printing 7 newspapers from Pensacola to Athens, Chattanooga, and other places. And basically chronicled, which we just got through digitizing, if you will, with newsroom.com, and I think newspaper.com. And anybody can go online and find those issues. And that's basically it. The historical piece, I'll say to you, Malik, is real simple. And that is, I guess I can use the issue of the old Negro Leagues. When Jackie Robinson crossed the color line, that was the end of ownership. That was the end of managers. That was the end of the entrepreneurial economic side of what was going on in sports. And I just happen to be one of those people who believes that Branch Rickey did not do that because he was some altruistic white guy, as opposed to somebody who sat at Comiskey Park in Chicago and saw 55,000 people go watch a baseball game and realized there was money to be had. Well, a similar scenario happened with the early 60s, mid 60s, if you will, with the riots in the cities across this country. And major majority newspapers realized that they didn't have any reporters. All of those reporters were ensconced in our publication, and there were a plethora, and there still is a plethora of African-American owned newspapers in this country. And they went and began to cherry pick reporters to be in their newsroom. You will not find somebody who is in the annals of media and journalism in this country who happens to look like us, who didn't get their start in black newspapers. Well, the difference is we just didn't go away. And that is apparent based on the fact that we are still here. We are still chronicling our lives, our history, the legacy of who we are and what we have experienced. So our job has been and continues to be to institutionalize the narrative of what it means to be black in this country. And now that means what it means to be black in the world. And that is something that we take seriously, have always taken seriously, and continue to do so.
You know what's interesting? In this time, mainstream media has kind of cornered the market on telling the story of the protests, telling the story of the rallies, the marches, some of the movement that has happened in the street. As we begin to come out of that space, what should be the focus of media outlets that are black owned in telling the message and getting the story out?
You know, this is not a correction, Malik. You know, I would dare never correct you.
Please Please do.
But mainstream media does exactly what you just said. They are all involved in the protests. They are all involved in what they see because, bring a fire, bring a camera. That's what they do. But our job is to let our folk know what caused people to get in the street. We are about the business of being in those rooms where the strategy is being planned, the execution of that strategy is being planned, and you will not have heard and you will not see what the issue at the end of the day, at the end of these days, where the expectation is, oh, look at them burn a building. The question is, we're focused on why would anybody be so outraged that they would, one, hit the street, and two, feel so powerless at a point that they might do that. Now, I'm not talking about violence for violence sake. I'm talking about, I think Martin Luther King said, now riots are the expression of people who have no other voice than to express themselves about what's happening. Our job is and will continue to be what's going on in our communities that would foster that. There's something that I think has been, I'll call it vanillaed, and we know that's not a word, and that is to simply say civil rights. What does that mean? All right, because it's something that we throw around, etc. But what does that actually mean? What it means is, what does it mean to be a human being in this society? Period. Yeah. And what does the lack of being able to be a human being cause a person? And I think now, for whatever reasons, I will give credit to those who would turn a camera on and begin to dialogue and have conversations like yourself about what that means, what it has caused, and what we need to do about it. Our job is not changed. Our job is the same. When I say our, I mean all African-American newspapers across the country. And now some of us who have a reach, a worldly and global reach, is really one to simply say, remember, what does it mean to be African-American in America? What does it mean and what do we have? Because that is that without, and you may have the wrong guy on the radio today, but what it means is, if you look up and you say, I kind of think you can go find out what it means to be Nigerian. I think you can go find out what it means to be Jamaican. There are historical references to that culture, if you will, about what it means in that part or those parts of the world. Now, we've chronicled what does it mean to be, quote, African American. People throw that term around as if it is not unique and distinct. It is unique and distinct to be an African American in this country. And that's different from being a Nigerian in this country, or being an Ethiopian in this country, or being from Kingston in this country. And our job, if you will, our mission is to constantly express that narrative so that people can have some sense of, one, what the obstacles are, what to, one, look out for, and two, how maybe to take advantage of those who have come before us to basically excel in a world that doesn't want you to, or excel in a world where institutionally you shouldn't. And I was great listening to your guests before me to talk about some of the things inside the city of Philadelphia and what it means to have those folks who can put footprints in the snow. Our job is to highlight those footprints so that somebody can run to where they stopped and begin again, because that's what we will always be doing.
Run to where? Say that again.
Our job is to put a spotlight on those folks who have put footprints in the snow. Yeah. We have to highlight that road so that we can say, this is where someone's footprint stopped. Yeah. So now those folks can run to that spot to start. They don't have to start somewhere else and start trudging through the snow. They can just follow these footprints, and we have them all over the place. We have them in medicine, we have them in engineering, we have them in law, we have them in entrepreneurism. All right. These are not rare folks. They are rare in the sense of what we know about them, maybe, but they are not rare coming from our community. They're all over the place. And the easier it is to find those footprints makes it that much easier for the person to take up that spot and move it another 20 yards, 30 yards, 100 yards. Indeed. That's what Black newspapers have been doing forever. I mean, Hidden Figures. The young lady found the stories of Hidden Figures in the annals of the Baltimore and Washington, D.C. Afro. All you have to do is go look and you'll see. But now that's a struggle that we're up against, and that's a struggle that we'll continue to be up against. And that is basically letting our own folks know where this history is and what it means.
I'm really excited about the future of Black media. I think it's really important for the newer generation to have conversation with those who have gone before. You and others, Janice, have given us many footprints for us to follow, and to kind of conserve that energy, get to the point, because you're still moving, but to get to the point where we can run alongside you and potentially get the baton to move this forward. As we close this interview, because there's so much more that we can have conversation about, and I'd love to continue it at a future time.
I know how to chime into the show now, so you're in trouble.
Oh yeah, you're in. So I'll see the pop up and know it's time.
That's right.
Put y'all down, right? But if there was a word of advice that you can give those that are out on the street right now, having the conversations about equality, about justice, for those who are younger in the journalistic journey, but energetic nonetheless, what would be a 1 or 2 sentence word of advice that you could give them?
Well, that's hard because I'm a wordy guy. But what I would say to anyone is, you are not alone in whatever struggle you think that you're in. Yeah. There are folks out here who, one, have resources to assist you in becoming and doing those things that are important to you. And one of the easiest places to find them is in a Black newspaper. And folks want to say, well, you know what? Black newspapers, people aren't reading anymore. They aren't doing this anymore. And I am always appalled by simply saying, we live in a world where the most informed people in the world are young Black people. Indeed. All we're trying to do right now, and what we're trying to do, is look to your allies as opposed to ask of your enemies. Your allies look like me. So one of the things that has happened is we have become quite the soup du jour lately, in the sense that journalism has been, for all that the occupant of the White House has done, he has made journalism once again. If I'm not, which amendment is that again? I mean, which one to the Constitution?
Yeah.
I mean, it's like, I think it's not. Is it the first one? I mean, I could be wrong, but freedom of the press, I believe, is the first one. The second one is the right to bear arms.
Right.
They are not inconsistent with one another. As the current occupant would have you believe that is more important. The second is more important than the first. No, it's not.
Mhm.
The founding fathers understood that the vaccine for democracy is the press.
Mm.
The vaccine for democracy is the press. And the vaccine for the press is the black press. Now you can take that any way you want to.
Mm. Those are powerful words. Jim Washington, the CEO, head guy in charge of the Dallas Weekly and the president of the Atlanta Voice. I honor you, brother. I appreciate your wisdom. I appreciate how you have embraced me, slapped me upside my head when I needed and give me words of advice to move forward. I honor you. Give my love to the family and the staff.
You too. Y'all be safe up there in Philly. I'll be there soon.